Here is the first video. I am planning on creating a series of videos that you can watch, if this one here doesn't strike your fancy, for building a wood set of stairs over a concrete stairway that might be located on the exterior of your house for your front or back door. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at the stairway along with the new deck that we are going to add. And by adding the deck, we don't need to add materials to the top of the concrete that are going to rot, and I will go over that in a future video. And as you can see here, everything looks great here. The only problem that I might have that I might not be a big fan of is taking a big notch out of a decking joist. In this video here, I have 4 inches from the top of the interior floor to the top of the last step. And anything smaller than that could be a problem. And this design right here might not work for you. So we are going to be adding a new concrete footing along with building a deck and a small wall here to support the top of the stairs and the front of the deck. So not too difficult there. Starting with something like this, or should I say something like this. We're not going to have our footings there. And I've seen some stairways built to where the distance here between the top of this step and the top of the interior floor is 8 inches. So if you do have something larger than 4 inches, it's probably going to be a little more beneficial to this project because you're not going to need to notch as much out of the joist. So the first thing we're going to do will be to calculate the height of our wall, figure out where the top of the joist is going to be, and somehow create something like this so that we can figure out how long the joists need to be so that our decking boards will line up perfectly. And to calculate the height of the joist, I'm simply going to subtract the thickness of the decking from the overall height or the top of the interior floor. And in this project, we're going to be using 1.5 inch thick decking. That is going to be 5.5 inches wide. So once we have that, we can kind of use some screws to temporarily adjust all of the components here so that we can pre-cut the stair stringer. Now, I'm not going to be showing you how to cut the stringer in this video. I have plenty of videos on that. Go check out our website or some of our books on building stairs. And we don't need to form anything up yet. We're simply going to place a block on the bottom, and we can always adjust the height of the block by filling it in with some soil so that we can somehow position the stringer to where it's going to be located with the same distance that we're going to have here after the top of our concrete slab has been poured. And the reason why we're doing this is to calculate the distance we're going to need so that we don't cut our decking boards. We don't need to cut our decking boards because we want the stairway to look nice, kind of like a professional built it. And to do that, all we need to do is figure out the distance by allowing for all of the gaps in between the decking boards, which means you're going to have to do some math here or simply lay out the decking boards and space them accordingly, and then simply grab your tape measure and measure the overall distance. And don't forget to leave at least 1/8 inch gap in between the concrete or the building and the edge of this decking board here. And you could always make that a 1/4 inch gap also. And after you've done that, you can mark the board here or subtract for the rim joist board, which is going to be 1.5 inches, and then cut this board. And if you don't want to go through all of this trouble, you can do something like this, to where we take our stringer board and then line it up, line the top of the stringer board up with the top of our decking board. And then we can line the edge of this up with the edge of this to the desired measurement by simply sliding either the stringer or the decking board until we have the measurement that we need so that we can mark the joist and cut it. And you don't need to go through all of this if you just want to build a deck and you want this to be a specific width and you're not worried about having a smaller piece of decking located in the stairway, either at the front here or at the back here. And of course, the beauty of building something like this is that you can locate the lower footing in the exact spot you need it to be. And another thing you could do would be to attach these two boards together before cutting it, and then kind of using it to slide across this area to make sure that everything is square, to make sure that your footings are square, along with the deckings and the treads to make sure that everything is going to line up perfectly. And you can always use some anchor bolts here to attach the sill plates to make sure that everything is going to be attached securely. And another thing I'd like to point out is that if you live in areas where the ground freezes, then you might need to install deeper footings or footings that will go below the frost line so that they don't end up pushing up due to frost heaving. And of course, a view of how the risers will be attaching, and to make sure that you calculate the thickness of the risers into the width of your stair treads along with the decking. So we are going to be subtracting 3 inches from the overall width of the decking boards. And we will also need to securely attach the ledger for our deck along with the base plate in the wall framing. And your stuff might be a little bit larger, might be located in a different spot, and you can use whatever you think will work. What I'm using here is a framing anchor. However, this will require a tool that will allow you to drill the desired diameter of a hole into your existing concrete stairs. And you can always rent one of those tools at your local rental yard. Or, like I said, find another way to attach these items to something like the building or the stairs to make sure that it isn't going to move. And another thing I threw in this example was another board that could provide additional support to the joist after we notch it. And again, this board can be attached either way. It can be attached into the side of the stairs or to the bottom, something like this, if needed for your particular design. Next up, let's go ahead and install our stringers, and they will connect with either some type of building hardware or 16D galvanized nails, 16D corrosive resistant nails. And I will be doing another video on how to fasten all of these components together. I'm going to kind of put it in one video so that I don't need to make a variety of different component assembly methods per video. And since this was the first video in our series, if you have any suggestions or some ideas for these particular videos, feel free to leave them in the comment area, and I will be glad to take a look at them and figure out if that might be a good video for our series.